Team USA might have fallen short in the 2023 FIBA Olympics, but Noah Lyles triggered the entire NBA with one measly sentence.
World champion of what?
He might have just done the NBA and its fans the biggest favor yet. And it might look something like this 2024 Team USA roster that is projected to go to the 2024 Paris Olympics. What's going on, guys? I'm glad you're here. And though I can only speak for myself, I feel like I am speaking on behalf of 99% of basketball fans when I say that we haven't had a truly amazing experience watching the Olympics in years, and that needs to change. 4 years couldn't come soon enough. Once upon a time, we as fans of the NBA couldn't wait for the next Olympics to come around because it was the only time we'd get the mythical opportunity of watching our favorite players playing on one team and actually trying. Like, this wasn't anything close to the laid-back and nonchalant environment of an all-star game where guys really weren't trying their best to play a team game and put on a show of shows. Even going back to the start of the decade, back in the 2000 Olympics, which took place in Sydney, Australia, NBA fans got to watch some of the league's best players come together and show the world who's boss. Prime Vince Carter, borderline superstars in Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen, Jason Kidd, Tim Hardaway, and Gary Payton among the names on a pretty stacked roster. And fans were on the edges of their seats watching the best in the world trying their very best, wearing the pride of repping their country. In 2004, the US came up short, but not before putting on a show with new names like LeBron, D-Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and of course guys in their prime like AI and Tim Duncan. How about 2008? A year many NBA fans consider as the GOAT year in terms of talent on that Team USA squad. A freaky athletic LeBron just entering his prime, Kobe at his peak, D-Wade, Carmelo Anthony, Chris Paul, Dwight Howard, all of the biggest names in the NBA on one stage. Like a dream, only that it became a reality, and a pretty sweet reality. But the now sad reality is, the next Olympics that happened in 2012 was the last true Olympic experience for NBA fans. 2016 and 2020, or 2021 thanks to COVID, didn't have the same feel to it. It didn't have that same energy, that same feeling of demolition that the US typically would enforce on the entire rest of the world. And I wonder why. Instead of getting the league's best players to come, now it was more about getting guys who hadn't previously gotten the opportunity to rise and shine on one of the game's biggest stages. And while that sounded good and all at first, it became a big problem. How did we go from Kobe, LeBron, D-Wade and them to JaVale McGee, Jeremy Grant, and Keldon Johnson? No shade at any of those guys, but was the US realizing where they were going with this? Sure, they still took home the gold, but it was the steady regression in talent and uptick in nonchalance by treating the Olympics like a backyard contest that has allowed guys like Noah Lyles to come and take a swipe at Team USA.
World champion of what?
But here's the other thing. The US needed Lyles to call him out to feel passionate about competing on the international stage. Wasn't the pride of competing for your country enough of an incentive for players back in the day? Which brings us to our next point. The US knows that its status among the world is declining unless they flip the script fast. Team USA isn't viewed in the same lens as it once was. You see, in the Tokyo Olympics 3 years ago, we were really beginning to see a downward spiral, and the US looked vulnerable in ways we had never seen before. To begin the exhibition games in Tokyo, the US got off to a really shaky start, to the point that Nigeria's head coach, who is also a coach in the NBA, said of the US that the reality of it is a lot of their talent, they just kind of throw together at the last second and say, go win it. And a lot of these other countries, they've been playing together since they were 14, 15, 16 years old. That pinpointed exactly the problem the US was facing. They slapped together random talent while completely ignoring the fact that basketball is all about chemistry. And Mike Brown didn't just say that out of nowhere. He said that after Nigeria pulled off one of the historic upsets of all time. And I don't want to keep harking on the past, but the US was nearly a 30-point favorite entering that matchup, and an even bigger favorite to win the gold going away. Instead, this was the first time in a whopping 17 years that the US wasn't first in both the overall standing and points scored per game. In fact, the team with ultra-elite, all-world scorers like KD, Tatum, Bradley Beal, and Damian Lillard failed to average triple digits in points throughout the tournament. It was actually the team led by Luka Doncic and a brother named Kleeman Preplich who led all countries in scoring. With all due respect, guys, that was shameful. And let me not leave out the fact that Team USA turned right back around 48 hours later and lost to Australia. falling to 0-2 to start the exhibitions. Even though the US went 5-1 in the overall standings, they scratched, clawed, and fought tooth and nail to win the ultimate prize, and it wasn't easy. And the other thing is, the rest of the world was given somewhat of a blueprint and the extra confidence to feel that they could finally have the US's number when 2024 rolls around, probably thinking that the US would trot out an even inferior roster next time. And that brings us to what many of us have been waiting so long for. The US is about to unveil its greatest lineup to date, and the world has officially been put on notice. One man and his one bold take,
World champion of what?
just assembled the Avengers in 5 seconds. Optimistically speaking, by the time the 2024 Paris 12 years, at least according to the number of reports and rumors swirling out there. And there are several reasons for this, but none bigger than the biggest reason of them all. 2024 is the last dance Olympics run for several shoe-in future first ballot Hall of Famers, beginning with LeBron, Steph, KD, Dame, and Kawhi. Because the bittersweet reality is that by the time the 2028 Olympics come around, all of these players, certainly LeBron, Steph, and KD, will be gone, like retired gone. And even though other big names like Anthony Davis, Draymond Green, Clay, PG-13, and Kyrie probably still will be playing in the NBA in 2028, they'll be out of their prime and on their last legs. Isn't that fair to say? So what better last dance opportunity is there than playing on the Olympic stage one final time in your career and wielding the world stage? In fact, these players are already ahead of the curve on this. LeBron is reportedly already talking to superstars around the league and asking them what their plans are for next year's Olympics, including conversations with Steph Curry and seeing what he wants to do. But there's a reason why I mentioned LeBron and Steph, the two most iconic players in the NBA, the two biggest faces of the game. Seeing them on the international stage together for the first time in their careers would be a treat for fans to watch all over the world, and would hands down be a groundbreaking, seismic event that would rattle the basketball world. LeBron may have already decided he wants to play next year, even though recruiting for Team USA doesn't begin until several months, but the question is, will number 30 from the Bay join LeBron and play in his first ever Olympics? It's kind of shocking that Steph hasn't played in the Olympics in his career despite being neck and neck with the biggest household names in sports. All we got to see was his FIBA stint back in 2014, but never on the grand Olympic stage. Will 36-year-old Steph commit to the Olympics next summer? Well, that's something that's up in the air. And considering that this is in all likelihood Steph's last shot at Olympic destiny, I bet he's going to think long and hard about potentially suiting up and making sure the US secures the gold in 2024. But I have some news for you Steph fanatics out there. Starting with Steph's sentiments back in 2021 after he declined to play in the Tokyo Olympics. Steph said, "It is only 3 years away. I haven't played in the Olympics, and that's what made this summer and decision extremely difficult, knowing I hadn't had the opportunity. But yeah, I would love to play if it makes sense." And just earlier this same year, Steph told long NBA insider Mark Stein about his plans for the upcoming Olympics. And in good news for us, Steph said, "I'm more than excited about the opportunity to do it. I don't know what the chances are because you don't know what's going to happen, but I would love to have that experience at some point for sure." And folks, downs for Team USA squads of the last couple of Olympics have heard the critics and are now driven to make big things happen. So, Noah Lyles, thanks for triggering the entire NBA and making players finally feel motivated to play in next year's Olympics. We NBA fans can't thank you enough.